This podcast is brought to you by the Texas Hill Country River region in Uvalde County. What's super unique about this area is that the Frio, Nueces, and Sabinal rivers are all located in the same county. It's like the hill country that you know and love, but really rural, so you're surrounded by wildlife. And life just kind of slows down out here, so you can enjoy the simple pleasures like campfires and fishing and just enjoying the company of the people that you love.
Go to visituvalde.com for more info. Buenos dias, everyone. My name is Jake.
I'm Leah.
We want to welcome everyone to the In Between podcasts. And we decided one day that we wanted to do a podcast. Yeah, so what happened?
So we had tons and tons of guests. We run an inn and we have people come stay with us at our inn. And sometimes we get to meet those guests. And we started to realize we had this really cool collection of stories from these people that were staying with us that were absolutely amazing. So we thought we should share them with the world. We didn't want these really cool stories to just end with us. So we thought a podcast would be a great opportunity to share those stories with people.
Yeah, so we actually started this in 2020 and ran it all the way up until about April of 2021 with episodes. And then we kind of hit some roadblocks and had some hiccups, but we got those all squared away. And now we're back on track and we'll be releasing those episodes, some of those older episodes that we had.
We interviewed some really cool people, all kinds of different artists and creators and teachers and just people from all different walks of life that we interviewed. And we realized we were in over our heads a little bit because we didn't know how to edit those or put them together. So we have all this footage from these people that we interviewed and that we talked with that have these beautiful stories, but we couldn't do anything with it. So now we're ready to finally release those into the world a year and a half later, 2 years later. But they're there and we have them.
Yeah. So we'll be releasing some old ones, some new ones. It'll be a mixture of both. So if you follow us and if you're listening to these podcasts, if you're wondering why, maybe we'll be talking about some things that were relevant at that time, maybe in 2020 or 2021. I know COVID was always a hot issue that we kind of touched on. But now, here we are 2 years into, past the pandemic, and the normal thing for people to do is not really to talk about COVID. It's not as relevant today as it was in 2020. I think most of us have kind of, I don't know, people are kind of living with it, but I know there's still some people who are taking it very seriously.
Now the new thing, everybody's talking about monkeypox. So we have a new talking point now. Yeah. That's what everybody's talking about now. But COVID's still very much around. People are still getting it. People are still getting sick.
Yeah, we actually got it. Or we caught it June. Mm-hmm. Might have been June. We caught COVID again. So we caught it in November 2020. Mm-hmm. And then we caught it June of 2022.
But you'll see in a lot of those old episodes that our guests are talking about it, but they're talking about other things as well. It's been really cool to see how some of our guests have grown their platforms and grown their businesses since we last spoke with them a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. So I think it'll be really interesting to watch those old episodes along with new episodes. We are going to be recording a ton of new episodes with locals. We have a ton of local business owners and people who live out here that we're going to be interviewing who have really cool stories, really cool businesses. There's a lot of characters out here in the hills, a lot of very big personalities with a lot to say and really unique perspectives on life, people who know so much information about the wildlife and the plants and just medicinal plant knowledge. I mean, just anything. You can imagine it. There's people who live out here in the hills that have all this really cool knowledge that may not necessarily have a platform to share that knowledge. So we want to interview them. We have more guests that we've lined up and that have, some really cool stories to share. So we're going to be doing kind of a hybrid where we release an old episode from 2020, 2021, along with a new episode that we'll be recording right now.
Yeah. So I'm excited for the guests that we are going to interview that are not locals, because we have some really interesting people that come to the hill country, to this area, not just who live here, but come out and visit. I mean, there's locals and visitors who are interesting in their own right that we can't wait to interview and share with you. So, moving forward, that's what we have in store. We'll also be interviewing business owners, sharing some of their backstory with the businesses in the area. So that's going to be exciting. And we'll also be, talking about events, some really interesting events that are happening in this area, some big ones, some small ones, some seasonal ones. I mean, we'll be talking about whatever, whenever, whoever, and just having fun. And we hope that y'all enjoyed the conversations. Maybe you'll learn something interesting. Maybe you'll hear someone on this podcast that may pique your interest, or you may find a connection with, and who knows, may end up finding a friend.
One of the things that I'm most excited about is that there are a lot of people who love the Frio River, like come here year after year. They come to this area. Their grandparents come to this area. We were those people. My grandparents came out here. We would vacation out here. We moved here. And there was so much about this area that I didn't know until I moved here. And, I came out here all these years. I never knew that one of the biggest bat populations in Texas is right here in Concan until I moved here. I didn't know about that. And there's just all these other things that I still don't know that I think in having these guests, these locals that we're going to interview, the locals that have been here, lived here a long time. I think there's a lot that we're going to learn, and a lot that our, Frio River loving listeners are going to learn about this area that they never knew. And I'm just really excited about that.
Yep. Same here. So thank y'all for tuning in, and we hope you continue to tune in and follow us along our journey. This is a very new experience for us, and we're kind of just figuring it out as we go.
Learning as we go, just like we learned how to run an inn as we go. We were going to talk about that at the beginning. We didn't. Just a little bit of a background to who we are. We started the In-Between in 2018. Yes.
Yeah.
We bought this property. It was a total disaster. We put in a ton of work and turned it around and made it into the In-Between, where people can come stay with us. They can glamp, they can enjoy the river. And we had no idea what we were doing. We had never done this before. So just like running an inn, that's kind of what we're doing with the podcast. We have no idea what we're doing. We're just jumping in. We're doing it. Here we are. And
now we're doing it with another body in tow. we just had.
We had a baby. We had a little Luna, and you might be able to hear her in the background chirping. So we're recording this with her in the room, and she has a lot to say. So we figured, why not? We're not going to let that stop us. She can be a part of it because she's a part of our lives now. So she's also going to be a part of this business and this podcast. So as soon as she's old enough to feed the goats, that'll be her first job. I'll send her out there to feed the goats, feed the bunnies.
Yeah, do everything.
She'll be the greeter.
We'll just have her do our laundry and cook and clean.
No child labor laws here. But yeah, we have a couple of episodes that we're going to be releasing along with this episode. We're still trying to figure out which ones, but we have 2 of our older episodes from 2020 or 2021 that we will be releasing alongside this episode.
That's right. So stay tuned and we will be back soon. Hasta luego.